Hey there guys, welcome to Guild Wars 2 Radio. I'm your host Naglesh, and in this episode we're going to be looking at a whole new series. Stay tuned. Welcome back everyone. In this episode we're going to introduce a whole new series for you guys. It's called Why They're Unique. We'll be covering each race in Guild Wars 2 and talking about what makes them different and special. So in this specific episode we'll be discussing their appearance, a brief look at their background, and how they compare to a typical MMO race. So the first race we're looking at in this series is the plant-headed Sylvari. And I know what you're thinking, it kind of looks like a Pokemon. Yeah, a two-legged Bulbasaur. But before we get into appearance, let's look at background. So the Sylvari aren't exactly born, they're kind of awakened, and they're awakened beneath the Pale Tree. So the Pale Tree was planted by a man, and his name was Ronan, and it was eventually raised by the centaur race, the Ventari. So the Ventari, they fled to the jungle because Tyria way back then was in a lot of violence, and they were like, nope, screw this, we're fleeing to the jungle basically. So they fled to the jungle and they found this tree and they were like, alright, we're gonna raise this. So it turns out that this tree grows to be humongous, and it turns out that the Sylvari start awakening beneath this tree, and it turns out that that tree is the starting area for the Sylvari in Guild Wars 2. So with that background information, you can kind of tell that the Sylvari do have an interesting background. I want to point out one thing. If you can find a race in any other MMO that has a freaking plant growing off their head, like the Sylvari, I'll give you a prize. I'm not even kidding, because I don't know any other race that has a plant growing out of their head. So with that being said, let's move on to appearance. Yes, the appearance. So as my really lame joke hinted before, you can customize the plant on your head, and you can change the color, the texture, the style. You can do a whole lot with it. You might even be able to make it look like a Venusaur. Nah, I'm actually going to stop with the terrible jokes, they are awful. But the textures on them are really nice. They're smooth, they're kind of bold, they make you stand out, and I think that's really cool about the Sylvari. So you definitely stand out from the rest, that's for sure. And the armor sets, I've seen a couple of armor sets, and they really do look nice on the Sylvari. And I think ArenaNet have really done a good job, especially the art team, to make each race really special, and I think they've done a really good job with the Sylvari. Their faces are kind of blocky, and when I mean blocky, I mean they have really defined shapes on their head. This kind of goes well with the haircut, I suppose, because the plants are also really well defined. So the head and the hair kind of really suit each other, which is also a really good thing. And the animations, that's a good thing to touch on actually. The animations are really smooth, especially when in-game, the running, the walking, the sitting, the waving, I don't know. They're actually really well put together. And I think that the Sylvari are going to be one of them races. You're going to be sitting in the city and you can be like, holy shit, that is one badass Sylvari. So the Sylvari are a race you're not going to find in any other MMO. Like, their appearance is so fresh, their animation is so smooth, and their lore is so interesting. They're really that unique, you won't come across them anywhere else. So if you're someone that's looking for a change, then this is a really good race to pick, because they're definitely that special. They're different from everyone else in pretty much every way. So I think there's some really important factors to take into account. They're definitely a good race to pick if you want a different change, a new change, a fresh start. Well, that concludes this episode, everyone. Leave a comment on my terrible jokes and what you think of the Sylvari. If you enjoyed this video, thumbs it up and stay subscribed for the upcoming series. Thanks for listening, everyone. This is Naglesh from Guild Wars 2 Radio, signing off.